essentially
What do
weird.
you do when you get stuck on a movie line with a guy like this behind you?
Wait a minute, why can't I give my opinion? It's a free country.
He can give you. Do you have to give it so loud? I mean, aren't you ashamed to pontificate like that? And the funny part of it is, Marshall McLuhan, you don't know anything about Marshall McLuhan's work.
Really? I happen to teach a class at Columbia called TV, Media, and Culture. So I think that my insights into Mr. McLuhan, well, have a great deal of validity.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Well, that's funny because I happen to have Mr. McLuhan right here. So, yeah, just let me come over here a second.
Oh,
Tell him.
I heard what you were saying. You know nothing of my work. You mean my whole fallacy is wrong. How you ever got to teach a course in anything is totally amazing.
Boy, if life were only like this.
If every technology is a black hole, a quark, a subatomic particle, or a string, which is a tiny note. Now here's an interesting thing. String theory, the structure of matter now, is not a particle or a wave, it's a musical note. Or it's a note, it's a sound. The visually biased scientists had eventually flipped out into sound as a structure because we're well into the tactile age, and the scientists are one phase back, but they were forced by media dynamics to say it's music now. Now, they had a documentary on these guys, and all the old atomic scientists or people who believe in visual particles, they said this is ridiculous. They're making up a theory, it's metaphysics, you can't even prove it. You know this.
I know about this.
Yeah.
I won't be strung along by this.
Yeah. The diasporic school, POB. So here's Brian Greene. He gets this special. He's on the cover magazine. He's like McLuhan. He's left academic. He's a professor, but he's out there, and they're marketing this to people as the new physics. And the physicists say, "Wait a minute, you haven't been authorized. You haven't, you're not even." It doesn't matter. The physicists need funding. They must have new charisma. They must create a new sense of we know it all. But it has to have an acoustic bias. Because we're well into the tactile, and the last sense before that was acoustic. I don't know what happened in some discipline, and he would explain the ground. So I'm using McLuhan's method of saying, what's the ground? We're in post-tactile, where the android mean replaying fake tactility. So I wonder the old slow academics would at least admit that they're acoustic basic structure. You know what I mean? So,
Are you aware of the fact that it requires a 40-dimensional...
Is it 40 now?
40 is what I heard.
Okay, but you know why? Because acoustic space is a pun. When you turn into mathematical formula, you cannot avoid the pun, which was already done by Joyce. He has all kinds of mathematics. He plays off Einstein. He is showing a visual pun, a book pun, which is the only way you can visualize acoustic space. So, of course, you have 40 dimensions, because you got the pun, you have more than one meaning. All right? And it's not just two meanings, it's tactile, so it could read infinite meanings. It's like a fractal, but it's an acoustic fractal. So here we are in this resonating note zone. Nothing. Anything that attempts to get detached would have to be a medium, not a human. So any medium rotates around with media, all tentative, fragile anti-environments or ways to get identity. So that is why the book. He would write the book as if a book was going to describe the effect of TV, it would have to be written this way, because it would offer visual detached perspectives. It's an ending node, right? Not McLuhan's point of view. So therefore he'd make a movie or do an interview and be a different kind of person. What does he say when he's on
Well, that's funny because I happen to have Mr. McLuhan right here. So yeah, just let me come over here a second.
Oh, I heard what you were saying. You know nothing of my work. You mean my whole fallacy is wrong. How you ever got to teach a course in anything is totally amazing.
Boy, if life were only like this.
When he's brought out behind anything about my work. But then what's he say? You think my whole fallacy is wrong.
The trouble with you is you think my fallacy is wrong.
Yeah, I don't know if he didn't say the trouble. No, he says, I heard you. He comes out and goes, Woody Allen, I heard you. How do you, maybe he says, absolutely amazing. He says, he doesn't say your favorite, he just says, you think my whole fallacy is wrong.
That's it, right?
And then he might say something right after that. I'm not sure, but that's the way it goes. Okay.
Just as an aside, Marshall actually wrote that dialogue.
Yeah, he invented that one.
Woody Allen wanted a totally different dialogue. He went that night with his wife and said, I can't say what Woody Allen wrote.
Right.
Has his whole anxiety. So Woody said, well, Marshall, just say what you're going to say and see how it goes. Anyway.
So we don't know.
Woody Allen's body.
Just a story note. I was sitting in this room with Marshall when this phone call came, and Marshall was told, Woody Allen's on the phone. Like,
yeah, he'd get out of the POB environment, be in another medium, which he was really keen to be. You know, when he wanted to be in another medium. We don't know if he invented that line then, at that point.
No. He used to use that gag all the time.
You heard it before, collecting his published lectures after 77 when he would do convocation addresses. He'd be doing the graduation thing, and he would, you can read, he says, oh, I hear a heckler. Some student was heckling him. He says, a heckler, you think my whole fallacy is wrong. He would say this. Now, all these kids are thinking this is a guy who knows something, and he's admitting that what he does is a fallacy. But why is it a fallacy? It's a fallacy. What he's pointing to, the resonating George Bush, or actually with President Nixon, or Carter, or Reagan at that point, all right, the resonating android meme, if you're speaking about it, if you're writing about it, it can only be a fake, what do you call ersatz anti-environment, page 31, counterblast, all right? All sciences and arts are now fake ersatz anti-environments because they cannot be an anti-environment. They can't offer perspective in the Western sense or any other cultural sense. Whatever, for other cultures, of ritual and miming, not trying to get perspective or detachment. So any medium that Marshall worked in was a fallacy because it was transient, like a quark, in relation to what he was trying to point at. And remember my opening sentence? That's what I meant when I didn't say it. And he had another line in the 50s, let me repeat what I was about to say.